Good evening. Alex Wooten here with the Lilies Chapel Church of Christ, and this is our Sunday evening time of worship. We started last week a series that should take us the whole year or longer on questions that Jesus asked. Last week we talked about who do you say I am, and this week we're looking at Mark chapter 4, where Jesus asked the questions, why are you afraid? I want you to picture this though. You're out on a little fishing boat in the middle of the night. The sky seems quite calm at first, the water glassy, and then out of nowhere, the wind shifts. The clouds start rolling in, and before you know it, a storm rips across the lake, waves taller than your boat could ever possibly be. Rain lashes against your face, thunder shakes the air, you're soaked, clinging to wood with white knuckles. And out of nowhere, they wake Jesus up and he goes, why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith? Y'all, that's something that I need to wrestle with today, because storms, real and metaphorical, hit all of us. You see, fear is not an ancient problem, it's a human one. And Jesus' question still lingers. Why are you afraid? Let's be honest, we are, as humans, professional worriers. Some of us worry about our kids every time they get in the car and drive down the road. Some of us worry about finances, about health, about the news, or just the nagging what-ifs in our lives that we deal with. Fear sneaks into friendships and marriages and even our church life. And isn't it wild how fear can sometimes cause us to forget what we know? That, the disciples had already seen Jesus heal the sick and cast demons out and teach with authority. Like, they knew who he was, and yet fear caused them to forget that his power could feel that large and it was that small. Maybe that's you. Maybe you know all the right answers about God's love and faithfulness, but when a storm blows in, it feels like the Lord's asleep on a cushion. I want to walk through that story very carefully. In Mark chapter 4, verse 35 and 37, that day when evening came, he said to the disciples, let us go over on the other side. Leaving the crowd behind him, they took him along just as he was in the boat. There were also other boats with him. A large squall came up and the waves broke over the boat so that it was nearly swamped. Notice, Jesus is the one who said, let's go across the lake. And they're not in a storm because they just wandered off on their own. They're there because they followed him. Sometimes obedience can lead us into storms. Mark 4:38 says, Jesus was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. The disciples woke him up and said, teacher, don't you care if we drown? And that's the question behind fear, isn't it? Don't you care? We're not just scared of the waves, we're scared that God won't come through. In verse 39, he got up and rebuked the wind and said to the waves, quiet, be still. And the wind died down and it was completely calm. No ritual, no drama, just words. Creation obeyed him immediately. Then he turned to the disciples and said, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? He doesn't scold them for waking them up. He asks them a question that pokes not only at their hearts, but ours today. Why are we so afraid today? In the storm of uncertainty, we don't always know what tomorrow is going to bring, but Jesus says, I'll be with you. In the storm of suffering, pain makes us question God's care, but the cross provides his love once and for all. The storm of control, we hate not being in charge. The storm reminds us we never really were. The presence of Jesus doesn't mean that there's going to be an absence of storms. I try to explain this when I'm studying with unsaved people who are wanting to be believers and wanting to be baptized, that just becoming washed in the blood doesn't mean your troubles are going to change immediately. It means the storms don't get the last word. So The real question then is, when the waves rise up, will you cling to fear or to faith? The disciples ended that night soaking wet, trembling, whispering to each other, "Who is this that even the winds obey him?" You see, that's really the point. Storms aren't just obstacles that we survive. They're classrooms where we get to learn really who our King is. So the next time that thunder cracks in the distance or the waves are rising in your life, hear the question again. Why are you afraid? It's not to shame you. I think it's more to invite you, to remind you that the one who commands the storm is on your boat. And if he is in your boat, then you're going to make it on the side. Remember, fear shrinks when your faith grows, because Jesus is greater than any known storm. For the Lily's Chapel Church of Christ, I'm Alex Wooten. God bless.